Welcome to the Battlefield Show. I'm your host, Sage Goodwin, and as always, I'm joined by Sammy Boy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I am pumped and ready to rock and roll. We're hopping in and we're talking about all of our thoughts on Battlefield 2042 Season 5 New Dawn. And oh boy, oh golly, we got some good stuff to talk about. Let's jump right in. We got a new Battlefield season.
We did. Around a year ago, none of us probably thought we would be getting this particular season, but we got there in the end, so very exciting.
And like pretty breaking news too, like a couple days ago, they announced Season 6.
Yeah, it's really weird that they kind of like, not teased it, but like they were kind of like, we're getting more content, but we're just going to see like what that is. And then, like 2 days later, they're like, yep, Season 6. And I was like, what the hell? I thought didn't know if you were sure on doing that. Are you sure you want to commit to that, EA? So, yeah, that was very exciting.
Guys, we might have some things going.
Yeah.
We got some things going.
I wonder if they honestly just, like, tried to gauge, like, the, like,
they're like,
online.
Like this?
Yeah, like, when they were like, there will be more content, but we're not sure what that'll be. I wonder if that was just literally waiting to see if everyone was like, oh my god, is that Season 6? And then they would know, like, okay, everyone.
No,
wants
you know what
6.
they did? They're like, hey man, we're going to do some more content here. And then everyone's like, oh, is it going to be this? And they're like in their notepad, like writing that down.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Idea. Okay, I think we have enough for a season now. Yes, we're doing Season 6.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, that was very, very exciting news. I was. The way they initially worded it, I was very like not worried because like they said more content, so I was like, it's still content. I'm still excited for that, but it was like just
but like vault weapons could be new content, according
like
to Portal.
Yeah, so it's just nice knowing that it's not like the final update, or it may be, but at least we know it's like a season again. And for me, it's just I don't know what everyone else is like, but for me as a player of any live service game, I just having like the unknown just makes me really nervous. Even if everything's pointing towards like there's no reason they would cancel the game, if they don't confirm it, like I actually need the reassurance. It's like I don't know, it's like I'm a needy girlfriend or something where I'm like, no, but do you actually love me? Like I know you love me, but like can you tell me, please? Like right now.
Just tell me you love me, please.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad we finally got that confirmation, which is very exciting.
I think in the current day and age of gaming, like you need to be able to see, like there's so many great games to play right now.
Yeah.
Why should you play Battlefield? Like what is the thing? Like if they're not going to continue supporting the game, why would you continue playing Battlefield at all? Like there's so many other games that you could play.
That's a real big thing for me with like, I'll be honest, like when they announce, depending on how they announce it, I think with something like Battlefield 5, like the way they announced that, where it was kind of just like abruptly like, hey, we're done. Like this is the end. That was kind of like annoying.
When they even had like content, like they said, hey, yeah, we're going to do more content. And then they still canceled it.
Yeah. So like, that really does affect. At that point, I'm like, okay, well, like I'm just not gonna like. I've kind of lost interest, even though there's more content. I just don't care now because what's the point in keeping on? Spending all this time grinding for the weapon attachments and all these different things when in 3 months the game's done. So it's like at that point for me, I do actually go, okay, well, I'm probably gonna like move on and try and what's this new shooter coming out? Let me try that. Whereas if they commit to it, I'm like, oh, I don't care about the new shooter because I know Battlefield's getting 6 more months or whatever. So I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if that's like the whole community or just like, I don't know. But for me, it's like a big thing to just like for the devs to just show commitment, which I think the devs always do. It's more the executives that are the ones that are kind of like the devs always want to keep working on the game. They've put that much time into it. They always want to, unless like it's been out for like 10 years, maybe not. But if it's a game like this, I'm fairly sure all the developers would love to keep working on the game. But when it comes to the execs, it's like, if it's not making money, then let's just delete it off the face of the earth.
Yeah. There's, I think it's totally right. Like, there's so many different things that you can expect to see in a game now, and I think Dice is one of the worst at this. Maybe Ubisoft is pretty bad at it too, but Dice is really bad with, oh hey, this game that is doing pretty well, and we said that we want to do more content for it. Yeah, we're not. Like within the span of what, like a couple of months, maybe even not that. Like we had Battlefield 5 get canceled and Battlefront 2 like support.
Yeah.
And DICE games don't necessarily lend themselves to a lot of like replayability or like continuation. Like
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the gaming space expects to see more continuation updates to really keep a game alive and thriving.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's like it's almost like once there are certain games out there that they almost don't even need the updates. They're just like a really
Look
fun
at Legend
game.
of Zelda.
Yeah.
The Breath of the Wild came out, what was that, like freaking 2017?
17, I think, yeah.
And that game, up until Tears of the Kingdom, was still playing, like getting played. Content was still being made on it. New discoveries were still being had. New people were buying it. And it had no updates, really. Like, it had DLC packs and that kind of stuff, but like there wasn't any, like, there was no live service Legend of Zelda game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing with the DICE games they do. It does feel like as soon as that, maybe with the exception of Battlefield 4, that's the one that does tend to be just played.
Yeah,
forever.
that had some legs on it.
Yeah, but like the rest of them, even Battlefield 1, like that is probably my, like, I think as time goes on, I think that definitely becomes my favorite Battlefield game. And
yeah.
Even when that...
But you can't play it anymore.
Yeah, it's just like that game is finished.
Except for the campaign.
Yeah, like, whereas Battlefield 4, like, I can go back and play that. But Battlefield 1, it's just not really the case. So it is a big thing for them to finally commit to Season 6. And I don't see why at this point, let's just go for 8. I don't...
Yeah.
It's weird to me. I guess maybe not because they started the seasons so late. Maybe 6 seasons actually makes more sense if it ends at a... What would that end at? So this is... We're June. So it'll actually end at the end of the year, won't it? 6 months of content. We've got 3 from this season and another 3 from...
Yeah. Yeah,
so
that's
it'll be
about
like
right.
December. So like maybe...
But what comes out after the end of the season? Like, there's no more map reworks.
That's a good point. That is
So
a
maybe
very
it's
good
shorter?
point. Maybe like... If it is the last season, maybe they legitimately can do 2 maps for that final season because there's no reworks and like it can be a super small map.
That would be freaking awesome.
Yeah,
but if they did that, like everyone's like, oh my gosh, we need more of this.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's where it's like, okay, well, yeah, that's a strong ending, but like, if we can now get 2 maps per season, why do we not get more seasons, please, guys? Like,
Yeah.
so
please.
yeah, it's, I don't know, man. It kind of depends also because I guess it is realistic that another Battlefield could come out November next year because that is a 3-year
think so?
cycle. Yeah, like I don't want it, but I think that the 3-year cycle, that's just what they tend to do. So I was like so thinking like that's not going to happen. But now as time goes on, I'm like, oh, I guess it can because... I don't know, unless they've just not worked on the next Battlefield as much as they would have because they had to fix this one so much. I'm not really sure. But, you know, they brought on Vince and they brought on Marcus and his whole new studio and stuff. Like, maybe there legitimately is going to be the next Battlefield at the end of next year. And so maybe it does end at Season 6. And we just have that, like, year without content where probably this time next year, if the game were to be coming out, in about a year from now is when we'll start to like hear about it. So it would only be 6 months between, you know, the final update of this game and the proper announcement of the next one. So like maybe that is the case. I don't know, and I kind of hope it's not because I just want them to take their time with it. Like,
yeah,
it's a tough. Like, I won't be mad if there's I'm never going to be mad about a new Battlefield game. Like, even if they announced it this year, I'd be like, man, I'm excited. But like, I just need them to launch one properly for the first time in like 15 years. So yeah, I don't know.
That's true though. Like the
about.
last like good launch that DICE had was Battlefield 3.
Yeah, that's the one. And even Battlefield 3 was slight, like it wasn't like broken, but it wasn't. I remember like especially the beta was like really, really buggy on I think it was Operation Metro. That was like real, like people. It was like getting slammed online, and I remember playing it at a mate's house. We had like a party at a friend's house, and we were all kind of just taking turns playing it, and everyone was like, "Wow, this game is like terrible." But then it launched, and it was actually like decent, but it just definitely still had a few bugs. So even that wasn't like super super smooth. So even maybe Bad Company 2 was like the last one that actually launched properly, and I'm fairly that's like going back past when I can really remember at this point, but I feel like that even had some issues, more just like not proper issues, but like balancing issues and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's probably they probably never launched a like really stable Battlefield, which that's for me where I want
2142. That was a perfect launch.
That's for me where I want a 2025 release, just in terms of I just want a game to come out and be really good, and then we get 3 years of good content. But
yeah,
that's also, it is a long time to wait. Like that is 2.5 years from now if we don't get a Battlefield until then. That's a long time. It's like I don't know. It's a tough one. That's why I'm starting to lean more. Yeah, that's what I think. It's one of those situations where I don't necessarily think I want it, but I know when it happens, I'd be like, yeah, that was worth waiting for.
Mm-hmm. This is what they need to do, okay? They need to pretend like they launched the game when Season 6, like a year after Season 6 ends or whatever. Like, if that's like the last season, a year later, they need to pretend like they launched the game. And then they need to pretend like they launched it terribly, offer a ton of support and like updates to it, to just themselves internally, and then release that game.
Yep. Could not agree more. They just like...
Let's do some role play here.
Yeah, they need to just like trick themselves into thinking they've done their bad launch, and then they actually launch it, and they can call that internally like a soft relaunch with a new title, like a new cover and stuff, and then
turns out everyone hates this game. Okay, crap, let's do this. Let's get all the updates. Let's do this. Come on, put in the work. Let's do this. And it's all just internally.
Yeah.
Like, get a bunch of YouTubers to like pretend launch the game too. Get them a bunch of feedback. Get a bunch of feedback from them. And then continue to update the game, and then actually launch it a year after you pretend launched it.
Oh man, that is literally what they need to do at this point, because it does seem like they're never gonna learn.
Because we're 18 months after the game came out, give or take. Like,
pretty much.
We're closing in on 2 years.
Yeah,
we're getting close, and the game isn't honestly a great spot. Like, I feel like if it launched like this everyone would be like super happy with it. Like, this is a good like Battlefield entry, and I think it'd be awesome to see more of that. But if they could do that with like the next game, like give it the time it needs, give it the support it needs, give it the like care and love, and then just respect for the Battlefield series that it deserves, launch this game at launch.
Yeah, that would be like the one that, I don't know. They kept saying how this was kind of going to be the Battlefield that was like
the foundation of the Battlefield series.
Yeah, like, and it was meant to be like not that they ever officially said like the comeback of Battlefield, but it was like sort of portrayed in that way of like, okay, we know we've done it pretty rough the last few years. This one will be this is like meant to be what you all want. But I think what we all want, I don't care what the hell the setting is and stuff. I just want it to be not steaming ass when
they could set it in 2042 again. Like, that's fine. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Just make it good at launch, and then yes, that is the Battlefield that I've been wanting for a long time. Thank you guys.
But like, talking about like the state of the game now, how are you enjoying the new map?
It is actually growing on me more and more as I play it. I already liked it, but the more that I play, it's like, I don't know, all the other maps that we've got in the other seasons, I kind of like instantly was like, yep, this is the best map in the game. This one initially I was like, it's really good, but I don't know if it's my favorite. But the more I play it, I think it is now my favorite. So I'm just enjoying it more and more. I've got a few slight issues with it, but I guess we'll get to them like later. But yeah, overall it's really good, and I do think it's the most Battlefield map in the game, which is exciting to have.
This map confuses me because I'll have one game where like, this is the best map ever. And then immediately after that, I'm like, I hate this. I quit Battlefield. This is the worst. And I want to go like destroy my controller.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And sometimes that's in the same game.
Yeah, you've kind of led that perfectly into what I was saying. My issue is the balancing. It feels as though the US team literally cannot lose. Like there's
dominates. I've never had a game that the other team won.
Yeah, I've also never had a game. Even there's been actually a game where I was on the Russian side and we dominated. I've never had a game that's close. Literally never. It's always just been like one team just annihilates the other. And so I think that's my only issue with it, which can be fixed, I think, with like changing the spawn locations and little stuff like that. But it almost feels like whoever gets C1 and C2 just wins pretty much. Like, because it's not really a linear map, but it is very, it's not like a circular map is what I'm trying to get at. So if you have C1 and C2.
And also the boundaries are really weird.
Yeah.
The spawns are freaking awful.
Yeah.
I have never had a worse spawn in any game ever. Literally the first time, like, oh, sweet, I downloaded the update. Let's try out the new map. Spawned in, died immediately.
Yeah. I've also spawned at one point facing, like the D, the bunker over at D.
Yeah.
And there's that little bit where if you're at like the I think it's C1, like the building that's closest to that, then there's that like little cliff face, like kind of going up towards, it's not quite at the entrance to D1, but it's like it's a cliff essentially for that same like little hill. I spawned looking at that like 1 meter away from it. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why have I spawned looking at a wall? And I'm like, could get shot from any direction right now. I don't know where I am because all I can see is grey rocks in front of me.
Yeah.
So yeah, the spawns are definitely a bit cooked, I think. But I think it's more just like the dominance that those two buildings have, where essentially if you get, especially the other thing is that the AA gun on top of C2 is so overpowered, which don't get me wrong, I hate air vehicles and just vehicles in general, so like good riddance to those, but it's like if you have that, you have air superiority straight away, because I've got in one, like, I don't know, I've got it on the video I just uploaded today, so I maybe can just link that to you later, but I literally have a clip of me deleting a chopper from full health in under 2 seconds, like not even joking, it was mental. So yeah, I think it's just
Serves that. Right.
Yeah, good riddance. I think it's just the I guess the dominance of having those two central flags, and so if there's even just a slight imbalance with the, like, one team just has 5% better players than the other, and they get those two flags first, then it's just game over at that point. So that's really my only issue with it. I think once they can fix that, which hopefully they can, I hope it's not just like embedded into the design, like the layout of the map. Hopefully with some changes to the spawns and like, I don't know, I'm sure there's other ways they can, even just putting like certain zip lines on like the Russian side of the map to allow them to get around faster or something. I'm sure they can fix it, but yeah, that right now is my only issue, is that the map is really fun. All the gunfights and stuff I'm getting into are really fun, but the results of the game are not as fun, because it's just like
it makes you feel like an awful Battlefield player.
Yeah, exactly. You're either getting flogged or I find myself running around like, where the hell's the enemies? All my teammates are just killing all of them because we're
either
just dominating.
you never see anyone or they're behind you,
Yeah.
no matter where you are on the map.
Yeah. So, yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. That's really my main issue. I think everything about the map, the look of it, the actual, maybe not the overall layout, but like, say, the layout of each individual flag, like they're all fun to fight at. The central buildings are really fun and stuff like that. It's more just like more the flow of the map. It's got its issues with, I guess, the spawns and like having one side more dominant. That's really my only issue, which hopefully is not too big of a thing for them to fix.
It's a 10 out of 10 on vibes, man.
Pretty much sums it up.
The vibes are perf, man.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, like honestly, like it feels like if Battlefield 4 was made again, like that's what this map feels like.
Yeah, it does feel like it you could put it straight in Battlefield 4 and it would not change at all. Like it just plays so well. So though that element of it is really good, I think it's probably better in that sense than every other map. But yeah, it's more just to do with the balancing side of it, which I guess like that can happen with any map. Like there are maps in the old games that had the same issues, so it's hopefully fixable. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's in desperate need of some balancing changes. But like overall, like it looks really, really awesome. It plays somewhat well. Like I feel like if you get into like a groove of things, you get into the swing of things, you're able to have a great time with this map. You're able to really feel like all of the things that make 2042 pretty great. You have to do some work to get there. Like it's not just something like, I feel like Spearhead was a good example of this. Like it made you feel like a good Battlefield player, and it really empowered you to play the map and play the game to the best of its abilities. And I feel like there's a lot of things that shows some of the imbalance of things with this specific map. And I don't know if I don't know if I just suck or if like there's something with the hit reg thing, but like I'll be hiding behind a rock and I'll get like I don't know if like a pixel is next, like hanging outside of the rock, but like I get hit hard. Yeah,
I've noticed that. I was thinking like, okay, maybe I'm just rusty because I haven't, I've been playing so much Survivor. I haven't been like in the Battlefield groove. So I just assumed, okay, I probably just literally just suck right now. Like it's just me. But I'm having a lot of times where I'm literally I feel like I'm getting one shot by like assault rifles and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's, there's some sort of bug going on with that. If it is even just like, I don't know, I could just be lagging or something. But also the changes they've made to the ARs with like the bullet spread and stuff, I think that's also part of it because I'm so used to how they're very accurate. They did tend to favor skill in terms of your accuracy. If you're really good at aiming, if you're a good shooter player, then that's a positive for you. Whereas I think maybe now part of it is also like there's just a bit more randomness because the bullet spread's a little bit different. So maybe everyone's kind of, not everyone's struggling, but it's just a bit more random rather than like
us awful players are struggling. The ones with no skill.
No, it'd be more like the good players are just like, how am I dying? And then all these like bots are running around like, damn, I feel really good right now. This is what happened. Did I get a buff or something?
I feel like I didn't used to be horrible at Battlefield, but I don't know if it's just because I like you, I went from a single player game. Oh, new Battlefield season. Let me hop into this and be like, oh no, where did my skills go? I actually had to check my aim assist settings yesterday because I was like, is my aim assist off? I think I've turned into a genuine bot at this point. And no, it was on. It was definitely on, and I'm just really not good at aiming apparently. Turns out I just suck. Yeah. What do you think about the weapon stuff that they changed and added? Like,
as in like the portal, like the vault weapon stuff? I think they're all good changes. I think it's kind of random how like some of the, I think it's the A91, for example, doesn't even have underbarrel attachments still. So like they've added all like ammo, but they didn't add like any of the grips and stuff. That's really my only issue with that is like why, like more just consistency. Like either don't add any, or like why does that one have none, but then the next weapon has all of them? So,
and this is dumb. Like I don't do game development. I haven't made a game. Speaking here, but like, it doesn't seem like it should be that difficult.
Yeah.
To have some level of consistency across all of them.
Yeah, I know that they've said certain things about like scopes, for example, with some of them just don't like fit the portal weapons
because they're design of it.
Yeah, because like it'll clip, like the iron sights will clip through the scope and stuff. So like they'd have to like do actually a heap of work to add that. So it's just easier for them to add a different scope. So like those ones make sense, but I don't feel like a grip. Like even if a grip doesn't look perfect, it's under the gun and your hand's like on it. So who even cares?
Yeah.
So like it's just weird the way that they did it. I think they're all good changes. Like I'm actually so pleased to have some attachments on those guns now because I always liked them, but it didn't feel like I was using. It kind of feels like you're at a disadvantage, really. Like using a gun that everyone else has got a 40 round mag, and I've only got a 30 round mag. That's annoying. So like, all good changes.
And there's not like a damage benefit of it either.
Yeah,
like, you just can't have that many bullets.
Yeah. So yeah, they're all. I'm happy with it all. It's more just like I'd like a bit more consistency, but I also can see. I think, for example, with the G46, like the actual new weapon, that doesn't have a 40 or 50 round mag, and in my review, like I kind of complained about that, but then I said it also is kind of fine because if every gun has exactly the same attachments, then there's no. You may as well just have one attachment
same gun.
Yeah, like it's kind of. It was the same thing with like Peak Warzone. It didn't matter what gun you used. Just put the exact same attachments on every single gun, and it kind of like takes away from like what's the point of even having all the other ones. So I can kind of see it's like, okay, if this one doesn't have a 40 round mag, like it's annoying, but it's fine. Like I get what they're going for, but you got to also have another positive there. You got to have like
it's got to have some kind of like different damage or like more distance,
more
or
range.
Like there needs
something. So that's my only complaint about the ammo options. I'm fine if they don't want to have a 50 round, like, you know, the round drum mag on every gun, that's fine. But then you got to give us some sort of bonus, because then why wouldn't I just use the gun that has more ammo? Like that's just the better option. I can just mow down people easier. So yeah. I think a bit of consistency there would have been nice, but for me, it's more like a nitpick. They all feel better than they did, so I'm still pretty happy with it overall.
Yeah. Have you gotten the new sniper yet?
Yeah, I have. It's very, very enjoyable to use. You know me, I'm a big sniper fan.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if it would be. I think because it's new, I'm using it. But like, say in a few months, I don't know if I'll use it that much. But it definitely just feels nice to have a new sniper. Like. Yeah. Even if they all had the same stats, for me, if they just look and sound different, that is still a nice change because
there's so few of them. There's 5 in the game?
Yeah, and there's the goal, which is the portal one. So there's actually only 4 like brand new weapons.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, like I think snipers in that sense, it is important to have like a difference in how they look and feel, because with like say with assault rifles, you just like hold down the trigger and shoot at people and they're all relatively the same. With a sniper, I feel like they have such different, like, I don't know if there's like personalities almost. Like there's ones that are like way more punchy, like a heavy sniper that's really satisfying to use, but then they're a bit slower to aim in, so you might want to use a quicker sniper and stuff. Like they all feel very, or like when done properly anyway, they all feel very different. Yeah. So I'm glad that it definitely feels slightly different than the rest, which is a very good thing for me. So
I feel like sniping in this game really got put on the back burner. Like it didn't feel like it was a respected or like valued part of the game.
Yeah, it felt very Battlefield 1 and 5 sniping was like probably the best Most satisfying sniping I think I've ever played in any shooter.
Battlefield 1's headshot sound was...
Man.
I don't know if there will ever be a better sound created.
Nah, I literally don't. I don't think there will ever be a more, like, satisfying video game noise ever. Whether it's a headshot thing or whether it's, like, the sound for when you win or anything. I think that is literally the most clean-sounding thing ever.
It rivals the thermal imploder sound from Battlefront
literally.
2015.
Yeah. So good, man.
Like that literally, I kid you not, that was the reason I started sniping. Like I was not a sniper before Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 1 made me a sniper because it is just so satisfying to go through and to hear that.
Yeah. It literally it makes me want to go back and play it right now just to hear that sweet sound.
Hop in the campaign, get the sniper, and just right into my veins, just
especially
straight
with
into the veins.
Martini Henry as well. The deep base of that sniper, then paired with the little ding sound of the headshot. Oh my god, it was like dog tags almost sound. Like it would drop, like a regular kill already sounded good, but then there was like double that for a headshot. It was, man, that's so good.
You know that one meme of the WWE guy like leaning back in his chair? That's like, that is that sound.
Literally every kill, that was me just like, oh yes. It was like a drug. I was like, I must get more sniper headshots right now.
Chasing that dopamine big time.
So bad.
Yeah. Overall though, like, do you feel like this season is gonna be... Do you think it's gonna like hold up to the rest of them?
I don't know, because I think just because there's no, like, weirdly enough, the lack of a specialist does feel weird to me now. Mm-hmm. It feels a bit odd. So that combined with just, I feel like because we're getting the portal attachments instead of like new portal weapons. Even though I think that's actually a positive thing, it feels like less content.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think it will, but I also do think it's like for the best, if that makes sense. Like all the changes they're making, like we don't need a new specialist. None of us even like the specialist, so it's like fair enough. We don't need that, even though it feels weird to not have one. It's like I'm not going to have a cry about it. And then the portal changes, I would really like some new weapons, but like if all the weapons we currently have then have their proper attachments, that will be better in 3 months from now than if we just got 4 new weapons that have no attachments. So yeah, it's one of those scenes where it's weird because this is like, it felt like
this will be the blueprint for season 6.
Yeah. That's the interesting part, is like, and then what? Because we don't get the Hourglass rework in that season. So like, what do we, I don't know. It's a very odd thought of like what actually comes next after this one. I think this one's the last one where we can do without a new specialist, and it's still fine because we're getting the Hourglass rework. But then next season, no specialist and no rework. That'll be weird. Just getting a map and 2 weapons at the start of season 6, and then what else? Like literally, what else do we get? That is definitely concerning. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm sure they can't just do that. They must have to have other plans. But
yeah,
I don't know. Like I don't know what their plans could possibly be. There's nothing that stands out. Like, I don't know, unless they do finally add some actual Portal content in terms of like porting a Battlefield 4 map or something. I don't know, but that feels pointless also to me. Like it's too late for that.
Because that's Portal content, and as we've seen, they feel like that's a completely different realm. That's like a different universe for them. From like how they act around the weapons. Oh, it's gonna be a while before we get all the Battlefield Portal weapons in Battlefield All Out Warfare. It's like, just copy those files. Just say, hey, go over here. Like you can play all of those weapons on like All Out Warfare stuff, like, or like in like a map Like if you choose the specialist system on the old maps or vice versa, like you can play those weapons on the new stuff, like in Portal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I'm not sure. I didn't think about that either. Like if this will be, as big of a season as the last ones, and it kind of like felt like, okay, we're progressing, so they've all gotten better, and this is just gonna do the same. But now that you've said that, I don't think it will actually. I don't think this will be better than season 3 or 4. So, I don't know.
Yeah, because it's a really weird time for games right now, because like a lot of them that are moving to live service, you have to find out, what does a live service mean for your game? Like, what is that? What is the right ratio? What is the right system of, okay, we're going to give you content. What's real content? Obviously, anything new is content, but like, what's real content from a player's perspective? What's going to like justify someone continuing playing the game? Like, what is that content ratio? Is it just one new map? Because I don't think one map every 3 months is going to cut it. Honestly, that's awful. Like, in terms of an industry standard, that's just bad.
Yeah, it's weird. We've kind of like gotten used to it. So for me, it's like I've kind of accepted that. And if that's all we get, I'll be like, okay, that's like whatever. But when you look at it from, the industry standard, that is genuinely terrible. That is like, I think...
Single player games get more content than that, it seems.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know what else they can add. That's the thing. They have to add more maps for me. Like, there's enough weapons. I'm not going to say no to more weapons, but it's not the selling point to me. If they said we're getting 40 new weapons, like brand new weapons next month, I'd be like, okay, I don't really care, to be honest. Like, I'll take them, but I'm not. That doesn't excite me. But they could say we're getting one extra map, and I'll be like, oh my god, that is so good. So, I don't know. I just don't know if they can do it. It just feels like it doesn't feel like there's enough people working on the team. The fact that we can't even get all the portal attachments at once, which may also be partly to do with like balancing. They want to get them right, but it just feels like there's not that many people working on the team. Which probably is true. There's probably a lot of them have moved on to the next Battlefield, but I just don't think the team's big enough to be able to do like 2 maps a season, which is a shame, because then I'd have like genuine excitement for the next season if they could do that.
It's a weird spot. Like, it feels like they have more studios working on this game, or had more studios working on this game, than any other Battlefield in history. And it feels like we're getting the least amount of content for a Battlefield game in the history of the Battlefield franchise.
Yeah, it's very... That's a good point. Like, what has happened to Ripple Effect? Like, are they even working on this game? Or like,
what are they doing? Maybe they're the only people bringing us content.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though, is that literally could be the case where, like, they could be carrying it, and, like, DICE technically would still be working on it, but it might be literally a handful of people at DICE, and the rest of them have actually moved on to the next game or something. So, it's... Because, like, there cannot be all of DICE and all of Ripple Effect working on this game, and we're getting this little amount of content. That just does not make sense. So, I don't know. There must be stuff going on with... just they've moved on to the next game, or I don't know. There has to be something like that.
It feels like there's more to the story than there is on the surface.
Yeah.
There's got to be something more here when you look at how many people are supposedly working on this game. But again, they have another game. Like they've said there's going to be another Battlefield game. We know Ridgeline's going to work on something. They're bringing in more people. DICE is working with them on the campaign side of things. And there's more things that will be added to the Battlefield series as a whole. We just are in the dark on that specific side of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, like I said earlier, like maybe legitimately next year is the next Battlefield. Like, I kind of just in my own head was like, there's no chance we get one next year.
I would be so surprised. Like, honestly, that would be the biggest surprise of gaming for me.
Yeah. But then also when you actually look at it from just track record. Like, it is just generally a 3-year thing. So, like...
I was... Until you actually said that, I was like, oh, crap, you're right. Like, this would be the time frame, which is crazy because it feels like this game's just getting started.
I know. Like, yeah, that's the part where I was like... I just, in my head, was like, nah, we're not... Like, it'll be 2025. Like, I was just set on that. And I think I'm still hopeful for that, just so it's, like, a good launch. But... Yeah, probably the last like 2 months, I've started to think, okay, like maybe, especially when we didn't know if we were getting season 6.
Yeah,
I was sort of questioning, okay, why not though? Like the game's in a good spot. Why would they not do that? And that's kind of when I started to think, oh, like I guess the next game could actually just come out next year, even though I never thought it would. So
that would be so wild. But like, you're right. This would be the time frame for it.
Yeah.
Like, if we look at past Battlefield games, this would be when the next one would come out.
Yeah. So, and like, look, if it's usually a 3-year turnaround, and now that it seems like the management is obviously in a better spot with like Vince and that there, maybe it can. I'm not gonna say it will be launching like super well, but maybe it won't be like genuinely busted when it launches because maybe they've actually got the team there to do that now. And so, like, I'd love to be proven wrong. If they can, I would love for them to launch one next year and it's good. Like, I would love, the sooner the better. Like, the more, I want stuff, like, I'd love a new Battlefield tomorrow. That would be so exciting. But it's like, I just don't think that they can do that. Do it properly in that time. But, like I said, with the new management, maybe they feel, okay, like, we normally do a 3-year turnaround, and now our, like, management and the just general team is better. Even the DICE team has got more experience because of this game. So maybe they are like, yeah, we can now do... We always have done a 3-year turnaround, and this time it can actually be different. So, I don't know. It's a weird one to think. I just don't think, until they prove me wrong on that, I can't really trust them that they can have a 3-year turnaround. Like, they've done that every time, and it's always launched bad. So, like, I can't trust that process, I guess.
I think the thing, too, is, like, honestly, from their perspective, they want to get away from 2042 so they can work on the next thing and get away from the preconceived notions of Battlefield 2042. Kind of sucks. Like, you don't have that notion when you look at a new game because it's a new game. But at the same time, I feel like they're obligated from like a fan community's perspective that they need to work on whatever that next game is.
Yeah.
Or they need to work on this, I should say. They need to work on this game consistently enough to where we don't feel like, oh yeah, as soon as they get past like, okay, it's good now, they're just going to make the next game.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is that even if the next game launches really well, and it is as early as next year, if they cancel this game after Season 6, I think I'll still be a bit mad, because I'll be like, this is the same thing you've just done with the last two, like with Battlefront and Battlefield 5. How are you not learning from your mistakes? Even if it works well, even if I get proven wrong in the end, I'll still at the time be like, what are you doing? Like, we begged you to not do this again, and you've just gone and done it again. So even if they launch one next year, man, I would love this to be supported for longer, even like closer to the next game. Like, support this until, I don't know, like March of next year, and then announce the new one in June or something. Like,
yeah, and that would give us a good span too of like hype, but also something to play.
Yeah, like that, because that's the thing. You got to get that balance of, I need some sort of Battlefield to play to not lose my interest in it, but also don't lead it, like, don't have an update for this game and then the next month is the launch of the next one, because that you're not putting all your resources into the new game. And I'm judging by track record, I need you to put as many resources into that game as possible. You need to take the time with it. So I think 6 months to a year is probably the smart play, but like, maybe the middle ground of like 9 months where the final update is in like March or so, and then the new game comes out in like November. That would be ideal if they can pull it off, but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely like weighed on my mind a lot more the last few weeks of like, damn, I think maybe we can get the next one next year, which I don't know how I feel about that. But
that's just wild to think about that
Yeah.
that much time has passed and Battlefield 2042 has been out that long.
Yeah, that's the thing. This game does not feel like it's been out, like you said, nearly 2 years. It doesn't feel like it. So I think that's maybe why it feels stupid for them to, if they were to launch one next year. But I guess, like just going by the time frame, that makes sense to have one October, November of next year. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled on like investor calls and stuff over the next few that they do, because maybe they will start to like drop hints at that. They usually do. Like, I feel like these games you kind of always know when the next one will be out, like a year before, because they kind of like, even if they don't officially announce it, they kind of hint at it. Just the same as this game. Like they didn't announce it till like June, but we kind of knew there was one coming out well before that, because even when they cancelled Battlefield 5, they actually just straight up said like, we're also still working on the next one, and it'll be.
Yeah,
I think they even straight
weird,
said,
like,
didn't they? It was like
thing.
launching like the end of next year. Like they said 18 months from now or something. So
yeah, and they said that the reason that they were canceling both Battlefront and Battlefield 5 was to really like focus them on 2042, and we saw how that went.
Yeah,
2 died for 1.
Yeah. Also, the other thing that makes me a little bit maybe more confident in that they won't, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just super naive to just think the next one won't be terrible, but I feel like because this one they had to like kind of rework Unreal Engine, maybe because that's not happening now, as in like it's already set up and stuff. I mean, yeah, Frostbite engine. So maybe because it's kind of like set up now, they don't have the trouble with that, and they can actually, because this engine does seem, even with how early on like Dozer's shield was broken, they just literally kill switched it on the spot, but they didn't have to update the game. It's little things like that. It does feel like it's a much better engine than the previous games. Even like with the fact that when we get updates, there's not 47 new bugs that come along with it, and they fix 6 and break 40 other things. That's not really the case with this game. I feel like it's like consistently they just, here's what we're fixing, and they fix it and nothing really breaks. So like, yeah, maybe they have got it in a better spot where a 3-year turnaround can actually produce like a really solid game, especially with the better management and stuff.
Well, they'd definitely have more, because I think 18 months of the dev cycle was dedicated to the Frostbite 4 rework.
Yeah.
Because the Frostbite team, the people that built Frostbite 3 had left, and it was an entirely new team that had to work on Frostbite 4.
Yeah.
An entirely new engine. There's a reason why people use Unreal or Unity or like what have you. There's a reason why CD Projekt Red is using Unreal Engine 5. One is money, but the other is the ease of use of it.
Yeah, it works. And not having to use that instead. Like,
yeah. You become a developer instead of someone who makes an engine, because those are two different things.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Why, if the dev team was working on the engine, that is not really what they don't train. Well, I'm not going to say they're not trained to do that, but that's not what they do. Someone who designs maps is not an engine developer. So like, they probably also just didn't know that's probably why it took them so long and stuff, because they're just like, that's not really their role. And I'm sure they were able to do it, but it's like, I don't know, it's like being a dessert chef and you've got to then make main courses. I'm sure you can do it, but you're going to have to learn it. Like, it's not an instant thing of like, oh, yep, I just know how to cook all these main courses. So, yeah, like, that's a weird thing, and that's the downside of the Frostbite engine being essentially just exclusive. Well, it's not exclusive to Battlefield, but it's like, it almost is just made for Battlefield, and other games, like, I think not Mass Effect, Mirror's Edge used it. Like, certain other games have used it. I think even FIFA uses it, don't they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure FIFA used it.
Yeah. So, like, that is the downside to that, is that there's not really... If something goes wrong, like, for example, all those people left who actually created it, then you're left with, like, oh, like, how do we upgrade this thing? So, yeah, maybe that's another positive, that it's kind of been done now, and they don't need to do that for the next game. And even just, it'll be the next game made on, like the second game made on this generation of consoles. Maybe they don't make it for previous consoles, so then there's less like platforms to make it for and stuff.
I think the next game is just going to be next gen.
Yeah, I hope so. As much as it sucks, because I actually still know people that cannot find next gen consoles. It's not even a matter of money; they just can't find them, and it sucks. And like I only got my PlayStation like 2 years after release, but it's the right thing. You can't just keep making games for previous gen when it will then affect the quality. That's the unfortunate reality. You just have to move on. So yeah, who knows? Maybe the combo of better management, the engine's set up, and then just only PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Like maybe there will be a lot less to go wrong with the next one. So maybe next year can work. I don't know. I don't know what they got planned, but it's definitely...
You're convincing me that this might happen.
Yeah, which is weird because I don't know if I want to convince anyone because I don't think I don't know if I want it either. Like, it's a weird one for me.
Executives are listening to this and they're like, Sammy's got some good points. we could totally launch Battlefield 5.
If they do it, I want some compensation for that, EA, please. I've given you the idea, so please put some money in my pockets for that. But yeah, I don't know if I want it, but it's also I'm that type of person that when something new gets announced, I do get excited, and I know that if they announce one, like I said, this year, if they were like November of this year, Battlefield 6 is coming out, I wouldn't, even though I'd be thinking, oh my god, that's going to be rough, I would still be excited for it. So like, it's a hard one where I think my like mind is telling me, nah, 2025 is when it should launch. Mm-hmm. But then my heart's like, nah, but I don't know, next Battlefield being next year would be pretty cool. So I don't know. It's a weird middle ground.
The content creator in me is like, yeah, that's a great
and that's the other side
launching
of it.
Next year.
Yeah. Content creator side of it wants everything immediately. So
yeah,
give me all the things to talk about right now, please.
Yeah, but with that, let us know your thoughts on what we discussed today. How are you enjoying the map, and what are your thoughts on how they could maybe improve balancing it? Let us know in the comments below or contact@uplinkpodcast.com. As always, we'd like to thank Ethan Clark for the beautiful thumbnail, all of you for listening, and we'll see you on the battlefield.